of 16 here on the EU side don't have as many entrants as we do on the NA side. So these first round matches are actually going to be pretty intense here. So looking over the bans already, Diana and Morgana actually being the first two out. And you know what? I think I've been playing a lot of ranked. I've been playing a lot of it, and Diana is in a very strange spot because she's got a little bit she's got quite a bit of damage on her, and she's very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, she's a really cool champion. I actually haven't had the chance. I just bought her recently. I played her some on the beta, but I'm looking forward to playing her, and hopefully she's not banned so I can get my ranked win with her. But yeah, she's definitely fun. Morgana and Shen, those are both champions that Acer has shown to be to play a lot in the past. Sona as well. So pretty common bans make kind of sense. Put them out of their element a little bit. But Diana, the big thing with her, she's kind of like a Kali except with AoE clearing abilities. So as a jungler, you have that AoE clearing, which is the biggest part. Like she's an AP jungler that has AoE clearing, which allows her to just clear very quickly. She can counter jungle. She can do whatever she feels like. Then she has the burst potential to be that kind of assassin, which is actually it's a really cool kit. It's kind of a unique thing. We do see the Nunu pickup, and that was something that actually SK had banned both games against Acer. They had banned out that Nunu, didn't want to allow that play. So we will see that here. We'll see whether or not they use it in jungle or support role. They have been known to use it in the jungle in particular.
Yeah, Nunu support has been pretty popular as of recently for quite a while. But you do see a lot of we've seen a lot of NA teams actually start to pick him up in the jungle. I think Legion comes to mind.
Yeah,
they just go in. But I can't remember.
General Odd
One done doing that too. But
General Mayhem.
But I've been seeing a little bit of talk lately that one of Nunu's strengths, he can just go in, nom the blue wraith, and get the hell out. He's very effective at counter jungling. But I've been noticing in a few posts I've seen on Reddit and some message boards that counter jungling is kind of starting to go out of favor.
That's kind of been the case for a long time, and it's not really. It's, when Nunu was nerfed, he was nerfed right before the jungling changes, and then that's when counter jungling probably should have gone out of favor because a lot of the minions weren't worth as much, but the buffs were very significant. And for a long time, counter jungling, it wasn't really that popular, but team buffs are just such a major boon, to your economy, and they allow you to force early fights, which is the big thing. They're really significant points. I don't see it going out of favor. Like I can't think of any reason why teams would stop pressuring blue buff and red buff and such. If anything, I would think that we would tend more and more towards that situation because it opens up opportunities for early fights that you just don't get a lot of. Otherwise, it's just a long laning phase. So it allows the aggressive team to pull ahead. But Imba Sheep going with the Teemo pick. That's definitely an interesting pick. It's been a while since I've seen some Teemo.
Well, it's Teemo. I mean,
he's so imba.
It's Teemo. Period. That's all you really need to know. Look at that guy. He's so fly. He's so good. And then actually head on back to Champ Select. So
I think Acer has learned from SK. They're like, dear God, Ocelot, Orianna, your dear Ocelot. Orianna is the greatest champion ever. Orianna is a lot of fun. I think Orianna is very strong. It's just an all-around
It's
beast of a champion.
Teemo is actually a placeholder for
that's
Syra.
A shame.
That is a shame. That's a real shame.
Shame, sir.
Well, if you're gonna placeholder someone, don't make it Teemo. He's better than that. All right.
Yeah.
He deserves better. At least Evelyn. Come on, let's stick with it.
But regardless, Orianna is definitely a very strong pick. She's very cool. We've seen her a lot in recent competitive play. It really depends on the player, though. She has a really high skill cap, so you need a player that can play him. But definitely a nice pick there. And then they have the Lee Sin pick. Was Lee Sin their top, or was he their jungle? I didn't see who
Lee Sin, I believe, is their jungler.
He is. Who else did they have?
Well, Lee Sin, Nunu, Corki. We didn't get the other picks yet. Because
so we're still. Select. That makes sense. Actually, we're probably still waiting on the top. But regardless, Lee Sin has that initiation, has the shields, where he combos very well with Orianna. So that double shield, if they go with someone like Aurelia in the top lane, that could be a very strong lane for them. Give them that initiation so that they can get that Orianna combo off. They can have that kiting potential. They have those shields and control the fights fairly well.
So Acer actually said in chat that their remaining two picks on their side were actually Jarvan and Orianna. So I think that here's it. I think they have some flexibility here based on what Megashock is going to be putting in their top lane, because they can either throw Jarvan or Lee Sin. They're interchangeable. They can just they're just good like that. But I also see a little bit of I think the Orianna play coming in with that Jarvan. Granted, Malphite was banned out during the selection process, but Jarvan, he can work very much in the same way. Puts down the standard, gets his pop-up, and then you can have the orb.
Oh, and it's also a triple shield.
And it's also a triple shield.
So it's a triple shield, hard initiation,
Yeah.
Lots of burst potential. It will be pretty cool. Ezreal is very strong against both Lee Sin, Nunu, and Jarvan, though. That's going to be a serious issue for them. It should be an interesting team, though. I'm excited to check it out. Nocturne, is kind of a nice pick there, because they're going to be Acer's going to be a very safe team, so they need to find a way to force that initiation in the back line.
So Orianna waiting for a Jarvan pick there. So this is a matter of what is the last pick coming in for Megashock then. So that's going to be still a little bit of a mystery here. We're actually not going to know.
I'm going for a Yorick.
Yorick could work. We'll see who.
They have a couple of options. They could go with someone more aggressive. They could go with like a Vladimir, or if they want, they could go with Aurelia. Aurelia is just an all-around strong champion. The issue with Aurelia is it would force them into harder initiation. And Acer, they have a really nice kiting team with the Nunu. He can control the front line and everything.
Yeah.
I do like the Jace a little bit better than the Hecarim, because the issue with Hecarim is he again is a force initiation team. With Hecarim, you're like trying to get into that back line, and Nunu's one of the best champions at countering that. He can just throw down his absolute zero and just be like, no, you're not getting anywhere.
Or even then, we could just make it an AoE war, get like a Ken in there or something in the top lane. It's like, well, we have more AoEs than you do. Try and beat that.
That's always an option.
Or say, Jarvan, you're gonna trap us. Well, you're look who's the one who's actually trapped here. But I think it's more than likely gonna be the Jace going up here top lane.
You think I'm trapped in here with you?
You're
trapped here with me.
Wow. Man, that's a while. That's a while back. So yep, it will.
Imba sheep going with the Jace pick. I like it.
There we go. So,
I'm good with it. That's fine.
Now, we've seen the Jace before. I cannot remember.
Fnatic.
It was
Fnatic plays a lot of Jace
against.
They played it at Gamescom too, but they have played it on our stream a couple of times.
But on our stream though, it's been pretty much exclusively in setups against Aurelia.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of like, I don't know, Aurelia's just been such a strong champion that you expect to see Aurelia in almost every game. So I don't know that that's like anything in particular. It's, Jace, we'll see how this works. They are going with the Jarvan top. They could swap it up. Jarvan in the jungle, he would provide a little bit more aggressive ganks. But if you look at the lanes that they have currently, they actually have decently safe lanes. So it would be kind of difficult for Jarvan to get those ganks off. Whereas Jarvan in the top lane, that is going to be kind of an even matchup. The nice thing with Jarvan is that he can force that. He has that burst where he can force an initiation on someone like Jace, and then just back off. But we'll see. I'm not really sure. I feel like Jace is going to have an advantage in that lane. Like Jace, as a ranged AD, will clearly do very well against almost any lane matchup. But then also having the knock away. But Jarvan does have the double dash, so he can use his EQ combo to jump onto Jace. Jace knocks him away, then he throws down the Cataclysm as well. So that could work out pretty nicely for him.
Let's see now. Actually, just thought of this as well. So if Jarvan ults onto Jace, and Jace does the hammer slam, will it actually knock Jarvan outside of his own ultimate?
Yeah. Well, no reason it wouldn't. So,
no, I've never seen it happen. So this would be kind of funny. It's like, you're trapped. It's like, no, just get out of my prison. Just get out of here. So you can just hold on to it. Just trying to bait out the ultimate.
I like to imagine it turns into like his own little bunker. Like it's D-Day or something like that, like the shores of Normandy. Yeah, and that's Jace is just like sitting inside the ultimate from Jarvan, like a little turret.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. It is kind of interesting. Acer, they have a really strong kiting team, and they have a team that's designed. They have both good initiation with Lee Sin and Jarvan. They can just dive into that back line and get some quick burst damage down. But they also have a lot of kiting potential with the Nunu and Orianna pick that allow them to keep their back line safe. In particular, Corki and LOL Pro. He's 2,800 ELO, so right behind. Pharrell and Lord, the two of them are basically neck and neck. I think actually Pharrell and Lord's like 2,900 or something. I can't remember how ridiculously high he is. But so they will be able to keep Corki very safe in the back line, and Corki gives them a nice mix of damage, so that they can kind of burst people down. But Megashock as well actually went with a kiting team and kind of a poke team, and that's kind of the benefit of Jace is there's not a lot of poke champions that that go into the top lane. It was Nidalee for a while, but going AP Nidalee is kind of tough. Like that's a tough prospect. Yeah. Jace, he can go an AD bruiser, standard AD bruiser build, but still have that poke damage with his Q, which is actually really cool. So because they know that Acer has a really strong kiting team, but also initiation, Megashock, they kind of go the exact same way. They have Sona for the movement speed, allows them to kite very easily, but then they also have Zyra to pick people off or poke people down, Jason, Ezreal for that long range poke, so they can try and wear them down, but they also have great single target burst if they grab anyone with Zyra or anyone gets into their kill zone.
Yeah, plus also, I mean, those ults coming in from Sona and from Zyra, I mean, it's pretty much that 1-2 combo. You get one, you get the other, and plus also Corki. Everyone's gonna be still clumped up here from both teams when they go in for these fights, and Nocturne here on Megashock will be able to just go ahead, zoom straight in on the Corki, force him to Valkyrie out, make sure he's not a presence in these fights, and if things go Megashock's way, they could also very well clean up.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case. I think the big thing for Nocturne, though, is, in team fights, he's basically going to be suiciding anytime that he dives into the back line because Acer, they have a team that's very good at, splitting the front. Him diving in, it will draw their attention so that instead of being able to control the front line as easily, they're going to have to fall back onto Nocturne. And in that mayhem, it could open up an opportunity where if they clump together onto Nocturne, that might open up an opportunity for the perfect Sona and Zyra ultimate. However, they will have to worry about the fact that Nocturne will die basically instantly. So the big thing for them is they have very safe lanes that are also very strong, and they want to use that Nocturne ganking presence to try and pick up some early kills. And it should be kind of interesting. Orianna versus Zyra. I haven't actually seen this lane matchup yet, but it's really cool because I always looked at Zyra as kind of like Orianna. They have a very similar playstyle. They have that long range poke playstyle. They have good kiting, but they also have that forward momentum burst AOE damage if they in a team fight. But if you watch the best example of Orianna's playstyle that I've seen is Ocelot at Gamescom. And again, it's that poking in kind of kiting style. You throw off your Q, you shield back to yourself. He has like a 3-second cooldown or 2.5-second cooldown on his Q. So you're just constantly poking in with your Q, and then you shield yourself. You use your W to speed yourself away and just constantly sit around the outside. And that's kind of Zyra's play as well. She doesn't have that movement speed, but you throw off your snares, you sit back, play defensively, try and pick people off. And then if you want to, you can go in with that full initiation. But the cool thing with Zyra as compared with Orianna is outside of Zyra's ultimate, she actually has the burst damage to 100% to zero someone just with her snare into the Q combo. And with the plants, she has that damage. Orianna doesn't really have that damage. Orianna has really nice harass, with her shield and with the passive damage that she gets on her auto attack. But the burst damage from Zyra is definitely a little bit stronger.
And with that, you got both of the AP mids here right out in front. They're showing each other. It's like, no one's going to be going into those side river brushes, not anytime soon. But it looks like right now both teams are more than content to go ahead and get their point defense on. If they're going to get invaded, if either team's going to get invaded, they just want to make sure they know about it. Goats is also setting up. He's going to be starting the red, but it looks like Reborn will also be doing the same. So Wraiths, 2 red, not too uncommon for both of these junglers. And they may see a quick level 2 from either one of them.
Yeah, I think both junglers will probably sit back for a while, though, and it's level 2s, they have that level 2 potential, and that's actually something when you used to see, like, Jarvan, you would expect a level 2 gank every single time. Nocturne has that potential, Lee Sin has that potential, but it's completely fallen out of favor, and the big thing is teams, they're able to play pretty safe. They're able to be very defensive, and if you mess up on the level 2, it throws you about a full level behind. Just because of the fast jungling. So it can really throw you behind. Teams kind of tend to shy away from it. Though I do know some people who are, trying to get back into that. And I think the big thing is top lane in particular. If you have a level 2 gank top lane, if you have an exhaust, then you can get a kill almost every time on your jungler. They don't have exhaust for either of these guys, but that is a very devastating gank. I think we'll start to see more and more of it coming into the Season 2 championship. because it's kind of something that teams have stopped preparing themselves for. Like, you start to see a lot of top laners, and they don't even care. Like, if you know, they just kind of sit there and they're like, whatever, if someone comes to gank me, I'll flash away. But if you have red buff and exhaust along with the ignite, there's no getting away from that. Like, that is an easy kill. So, you know, we'll see if people start going back to that. For the most part, though, most junglers are going to sit back, play defensively, and just get their early levels in early gold, get their gold pretends and whatnot.
Reborn saving the smite, wants to get that quick blue, wants to get the quick level 3, and Nocturne Goats did actually start to blue instead, so he wants to make sure that when he finishes his path, he's going to be up there near top lane. He saved his smite as well, so both junglers want to get that quick level 3, and you do see Reborn, he is there, level 3, making his way up to top lane, but Goats did get his double buff, but he's actually going to be going for the Wraiths instead.
Yeah, so they definitely have that kingdom pressure. The lane is pushing against Jarvan, though, so Lee Sin's not really going to have the best opportunity here. It is going to push back a little bit, but it's actually going to be a really slow push. So for the most part, Lee Sin, he's not looking for a gank. He's looking for that counter-engage against Goats because he knows that Jarvan is really far up. He does seem to be moving over into the jungle, though, as we see Nocturne is mid as well. Nocturne going in on Orianna won't have the range, so he's going to back off. But this actually opens up an opportunity for Lee Sin. Since he saw Nocturne in the mid, he can try and catch him in the jungle or something, or maybe just come mid.
You see Reborn camping out in that bush, wants to see if he can't make an interception here. But Cowtard is a little bit in a bad predicament there to Q. The wave will not hit its mark, but seeing as Jarvan has been pushed up all this time here in top lane, you do see Goats actually getting in position. Sawi is none the wiser, but you do see Reborn with the vision just barely caught the Nocturne.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Goats actually didn't try and rush that because he saw Lee Sin down in the mid lane. He knew that Jarvan was really far up. They probably could have gotten some nice damage off. Enough damage at least that Lee Sin couldn't reciprocate. But we do see Lee Sin with the Q, not really doing anything, but he is way out of position here. So actually the fear along with the red buff, and actually Imbasheep is trying to chase him down. 760 is very low. There's
nice.
The jump, the shield, the flash, the EQ from Jarvan protecting him. The ignite just barely picking him up though. And Sawi will get over that Baron pit. But there's the first blood, and unfortunately it does go to Jace, so a double buff this early in the game on an already aggressive laner, that is absolutely devastating. And
we were talking a little bit during Champs League 2, giving one buff to a solo laner is a pretty bad situation, is first considering something at level 1. To give for a jungler to unfortunately give the double buff to a solo laner, the lane's pretty much gone now.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot that Jarvan can do. The big thing is Jarvan, he has a little bit of ranged farming abilities with his E and Q, so he can kind of sit back and play defensively. Then he knows once he hits 6, he has that kill potential with Lee Sin. They could try and get a kill, but Jace is actually a really safe laner. He can get away from those kind of ganks, and just the constant harass that he's going to be providing. He can max his Q now. He can go for that ranged harass, but he can just constantly zone Jarvan, and so he's going to naturally pull ahead and farm. Jarvan should be okay at getting back in this game, but we'll see how far Imbasheep can pull ahead because of this.
Yeah, and you'll notice too, just completely ignoring the W, not even getting any points, and it just wants to make sure that get all that range harass in, get the farm in, and knows that in the position he's in, he's probably not going to get ganked anytime soon. But while you're backing, you might as well buy the ward anyway. Get it for safety, and just in case something happens, you got it. But
Lee Sin coming in the mid, and actually in the meantime, Lulpro exchanging some damage in the bottom lane will be forced back. Sona turning it around on them. But there's the Nunu Snowball trying to back off Ezreal for a second.
Yeah, quite a bit of damage down their bot lane, and Steve actually still out in front, getting that Q harass, but you'll see that Sona is pretty much out of mana, but the same can be said for Nunu as well, but then again, he's going to get those auto attacks, proc that passive, get those free casts in, but you also notice Cowtard in the mid, also pretty low on mana as well. He's going to have to back soon. But you'll notice that War Hunter did decide to go ahead and buy, did get the Chalice, did get some wards, and even a mana potion just for the trouble, just in case the Chalice just was not enough mana regen.
Yeah, and Orianna does need a lot of that spam ability, so that's fine. That's a very common build we've seen for a lot of times. Lee Sin getting some nice damage, forcing Zyra back, and actually Imbasheep taking some damage from Sawi as well, but he will be very safe in this lane, generally speaking. He does have to worry about the quick burst potential if Lee Sin comes in, but he can just constantly wear him down. The double buff is down, though, so this opens up an opportunity for Jarvan once again, but the damage has been done. Though, actually, looking at it, 41 CS for Jarvan compared to the 42 for for Jace. So he's actually been completely even in that lane. That's pretty impressive that he's been able to keep up under these circumstances.
But also keep in mind, though, he does. Imbasheep does have the one kill.
Right.
That's about 20 creeps worth of golden XP. So he still has a decently, but considering the situation, Sai is actually doing really well for himself.
Yeah, so we'll see what they can do in that lane. In the meantime, nice warding from both of the teams. Orianna is coming up, trying to steal some of those rays. She's going to be able to grab that. Zyra grabbing the blue as well, so we'll be pretty safe there. But, you know, we'll see. Both teams have a really nice jungling presence. Lee Sin starting off with the cloth armor. I'm kind of wondering that might mean that he's going for quick wriggles or Madreds, so he will have enough gold for that if that's the case. And that's going to open up some nice dragon potential. And so the big thing is Nocturne has that dragon speed compared with Zyra as well. Nocturne and Zyra, that's a really fast dragon team. But having the Nunu on their team, yeah, he is actually. So they want to have that jungling speed. So Lee Sin, he's going to be going towards that Madreds, that wriggles path, so that they also have that dragon speed on their side.
Yep, so, and, you know, Corki's got quite enough damage, and yeah, Nunu with that consume, which he actually has not bought yet. Which, I mean, and even when I play Nunu support, I always get like at least like 1 point, just in case, you know, in a pinch, I just find a minion and just snack him up just so I don't die to any harass. But he's leveling up the snowball first, actually, instead of the, not maxing out the blood boil first, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty common in most situations. You can actually do either build, but usually the Blood Boil, it will be max first for that harass against Ezreal. Just completely shut down that AD damage if you're playing defensively. In the meantime, Lee Sin is set up top, though. He's waiting for that gank from Nocturne. There it is, the EQ combo from Jarvan, and the shield in, but actually Sawi is very low, and they will be able to take him down. Then turning onto Lee Sin, way out of position, and Goats has the red buff. Will have another fear in a second, but actually 760 is just barely able to get out of there.
But you do see that Orianna was considering making a trip up and realizing there's no opportunity. We'll actually just go ahead and walk on back to the mid. You do have Enix there with the ultimate, just wants to get some damage onto the wave, still wants to continuously push here to keep the pressure down onto Acer. You got Steve with the flash, not quite sure whether we're going to get anything off of that.
Oh, but, the Ignite, it's ticking, it's ticking. Oh, just barely surviving.
There you go. Steve did ding, but I think just didn't actually purchase the ult.
So and there's Orianna going for the kill on Zyra. A Q combo. It does hit her. One more auto attack. Is barely able to get it. The Ignite grabbing that kill. But really nice job. And the damage from Orianna is very nice. But it's cool. And actually the Cataclysm underneath the turret. Imbasheep getting caught out.
Not too bad. Not too bad. That's exactly. Those 2 kills are exactly what Acer needed to to really get that motivation going, to get that morale up. So we got 2 quick. It's not too bad. 500 gold deficit at this point in the game is pretty much nothing. So they're doing all right. They're doing all right.
Yeah. And we never finish up on this, but real quick back. You were talking about the Nunu consume, and it actually reminded me Hotshot. We've seen some lanes where that Nunu consume can be very strong early on. Hotshot, I think in the OGN, he went with the Nunu, but you go for the fast consume so you can actually counter jungle some as the support to get an early goal advantage. Usually you will hold off and keep the blood boil and the snowball just because you want to get those leveled as quickly as possible. And usually as Nunu support, you're not planning on playing up by the front line, nomming on any minions. But we'll see them. They are pressuring this dragon. They have plenty of damage. So they can take this down pretty quickly, and they have all 5 members here as well. So it's going to be tough for Acer to get in there.
The vision does see Zyra and Jace actually going down to it. Nocturne will pick it up, and Acer realizes they're probably Nocturne going on in to Lee Sin, but also gets to get the Fear Tether down onto Orianna. Does flash over the wall to safety, but the Ignite going down onto Warhunters, quite a bit of damage. And Imbasheep with the Q will be able to finish the job, but there's still some fighting left to be done. Saw actually still poking out there, but I think the fight is pretty much done. So a dragon +1 for Megashock.
Yeah, and we've seen that a lot with Soaz for Fnatic, that Jace, he has that kind of frontline bruising capabilities. The Valkyrie in from LoLpro, though, he's going to get some damage, but Zyra trying to turn him off. So he actually is going to go down. The flash, the ultimate, he does just barely get out of there, and Super A's as well will back off. We have seen that with Soaz on that Jace, and it's the big thing is you have that frontline bruiser capability, you have that burst damage when you get into that melee form, but then you also have that pickoff potential. It's just so cool hitting someone with the ranged EQ combo. When you hit it through his little energy shield that gives him movement speed boosted, propels his Q a little bit further.
And that's all he needed. That's exactly all he needed in order to go ahead and capitalize on that situation. So right now, with that series of events, now Megashock, they've actually they've recapped a little bit of what they lost in those past 2 kills, and they're actually in a really good spot right now. With K.5 up, pretty good right now. They can still look to extend that lead even further, still trying to press some objectives. NX here, still, the push bot lane just does not stop with this guy here. He wants that tower. He wants to get damage on it.
Yeah, and Corki can stall that out pretty easily, but that's definitely pretty important for their team because they're going to have to deal with the poking that Acer has and with Orianna. So it's going to be kind of tough for them to take towers once they're kind of into that mid game. But if they can, wear down any of the towers now, Zyra has that pushing potential. Ezreal, if he can poke down the towers, that can be work out for them. But we'll have to see. They will, back off Zyra getting another blue, so they will be fine there. But I don't know. In the meantime, Lee Sin sitting up top lane wanted to see if Jace would come up. He didn't, so not really an opportunity for a kill there.
There were actually pings going
down.
Oh,
I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I think
wow.
I've probably heard that.
Wow.
I do know that actually now that that's coming back, I'd never really considered it, but I know that his standard, Jarvan's standard has always counted as like an item. You can teleport to it, but I just never crossed my mind that you would shield to it.
That's neat.
I know it's probably
neat.
An obvious thing, if anyone's ever tried it. Wow, Orianna almost picking up the kill there, getting Kaltar thrown over the wall, but we'll be able to back off.
Still huge chunks of damage in exchange here, but Orianna though, with the combo, with everything, is actually doing pretty good in the damage exchanges there. But also, we saw this from a little bit from the Singapore Sentinels during IPL face-off with Jarvan actually over the wall with the standard getting into the brush, and you can actually get in there if the river's warded. You can get there undetected, provided the bush itself is not warded.
Jarvan's in a terrible spot though because Nocturne, he saw Lee Sin walk out of that ward, so he knew he could get out of there, almost picking up the kill into Imbasheep, but Imbasheep just barely getting over that wall, and Nocturne with the follow-up, the ultimate, but there's the kick, the EQ combo just barely getting him out of there, and 760 pulling him out. Will try and pick up the kill onto Jace. Jace is very low but can't quite finish it off, so they're going to turn around and he should be able to get out of there.
Reborn does get caught with the Nocturne Q. Fear tethers go down the shield just in time, but look, Zyra is here. Orianna was looking to help, but Ignited can only do, well, you can't really do a whole lot there.
Yeah, so they will back off. And in the meantime, Megashock getting some nice damage in that bottom lane. But Zyra has done pretty well so far in this game, and actually going for a triple gold per 10, which we've seen on a number of AP mids. The big thing with Zyra is she doesn't really need a lot of damage. They are tracking down Lee Sin, though, in his jungle, and actually, if Imbasheep can get in there, can't quite catch up to him. But Megashock, they are getting a nice push down bottom. So the big thing with Zyra is she has enough burst damage, she has enough survivability, like everything, that you don't really need to get any early items. A lot of times you'll see like a Chalice into an Abyssal Scepter build, but those gold pretends mean that she's really focusing on that later game. And they know it's a safe early game. Like they know that with Acer's team, they're not planning on just, bullying them around early in the game. So they know they can kind of just sit back and farm.
Or in the case of their bot lane, they can just sit up and farm. They can sit up. They don't have to be back at their tower. They can just comfortably just go.
I'm like, I don't know where you're going with this.
You have the lean back, or you can just go ahead, lean forward very intently past the river. I'm last hitting all the
lowrider bot lane.
Yeah, last hitting all of the minions at your tower. That's what Megashock's been doing here bot lane.
Yeah, and Etnik's just rubbing his dirty shoes all over Acer's couch.
Pretty much. It's like, thanks for letting me into your side of the river. This is a great place. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
But NX is a little bit low on mana. He's gonna have to back. How much gold has he got? Quite a bit, but it doesn't have quite enough to go ahead and finish another part of that training force. We do have Kaltar there getting the pop up. That's quite a bit of damage right under their own tower, and Orianna gonna be able to help get a whole bunch of damage and give the credit to Jarvan and get out of there right quick. And that's the danger. Orianna on your team, you throw that orb on someone, you throw it on your main initiator. Granted, if Malphite wasn't banned, we'd probably be seeing the same thing. But Jarvan, he can close that gap too. He works just as well.
Yeah, the Jarvan combo with Orianna is just phenomenal. Having that burst damage, that is going to be kind of an issue for Kaltard. Jace and Ezreal, they should be okay, but Kaltard's going to be the vulnerable one. He does have the range. Zyra has the range that, she should generally be pretty safe. She should be able to sit in the back line, not go down, but that's definitely going to be a concern coming in the mid-game. They do get the pink ward out here, though. The shield from Lee Sin. It's a race. Oh, no, they both get it. So both pinks going down.
And there's a very small opportunity when a ward expires where you still have vision, or in the case of pink ward, you still have true vision. And yep, that allowed that to happen. But Goat's gonna be right out in front once a Q. You have the Nunu ult going in, but dancing will happen. Sona makes everyone go out in style with that ultimate. Imbasheep gonna go ahead and get the kill down onto Corki. Megashock, they may be looking to clean up here, but Goats is very low inside the middle of the pit. Reborn is gonna be caught out.
Oh!
Over to Super Ace, but that shield saved both of them really well. Not for long though. You do have Nunu going down there to that one blast from Ezreal. And with that, Megashock actually going to go ahead and take that fight. Acer may have gotten the Dragon, but they lost 3 members for the effort. Dragon worth about 2 kills, so that is actually a net gain for Megashock.
Yeah, Megashock with a really nice fight there. And actually, Jarvan, they are going to dive him underneath this turret. They have the damage. Zoe going down very quickly.
Nice.
There's the kill.
Imbasheep.
And Imbasheep, he's just tanking that easily. So, like, just not even taking any damage. I mean, he was, but
yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, really nice fight from Megashock. And the big thing was Goats, he forced the fight into the backline. He just ran right through the middle of the team, you know, was able to get in and out. And I can't believe he didn't die the entire fight. He got down to like 50, but the big thing is Megashock, if they sit back and don't get caught by the AoE from Acer, then they actually have a really, you know, well-designed team. They have that kiting potential. They can, you know, slowly poke them down. Ezreal's very safe. You know, Jace has been doing very well. Zyra's very safe as well. The big thing for Acer is they need to be able to force in a full AoE fight, and that's what Lee Sin is for. But in the meantime, Etnix, he is caught underneath this tower. He will be kicked. Oh, no, there's actually no Lee Sin kick, but there's the Q combo. They do pick up that kill. Lee Sin's ultimate was on cooldown, so they will back out of there. The big thing for Acer is they need to use Lee Sin to start a fight. And then if Lee Sin starts, he can try and force Megashock to group around him. And if they can try and get them to clump up, they need to get them to clump. Then they can do that Jarvan-Orianna combo and just like insta-kill everyone. But if they can't hit those combos, then, you know, the kiting damage for and Megashock is very strong.
Yeah, if they can't hit those combos, or if one of those critical members actually dies very early on in the fight, because he also had a huge split there. Pretty much, you know, Orianna and Corki were actually down pretty quickly in the fight.
Oh, the ultimate almost picking it up.
Wow.
Yeah, Zyra's been just, you know, going to town.
Quite a bit. And you look at build. Granted, yeah, you have all these GP10s.
Didn't kill the last minion.
You do. You have all these GP10s, but you still have this newly large rod here. But Saw actually walking straight on into that bush. Will standard over the wall. But Goats, the ult is not up, so will not be able to pursue as usually intent.
Yeah, but they almost picked up that kill, and it is kind of an interesting, just a really minor thing, but Nocturne, he left up the minions for the red buff just because he was in such a hurry. They caught out Jarvan in the ward, and he knew, all right, if I take another, you know, half a second or whatever to kill these minions, then it's not going to happen. But 760 caught up in this top lane, and they can trap him underneath this turret.
I just realized how much of a level deficit Lee Sin is in comparison to the enemy team. The kick in sheer defense.
Oh!
Well, some fancy footwork, but, you know, when you're dead, you can't dance.
I've seen that before, though. If you actually rewind real quick, it's really interesting, the mechanics on Jace's knockback. It actually, it goes based on where you targeted, not based on where they are. So even though Lee Sin, if you watch right there, he already had hit the knockback.
What?
So Lee Sin, he actually hit him in the opposite direction that would make sense. And that's actually just because of the way Jace's mechanics, they proc. It hits the knockback when you target it. And so he targeted it right before Lee Sin hit the shield, so that after the shield was over and after the animation was over, he went in the opposite direction, which is just, it's like such a random thing, but that's actually like just the design of Jace right now. I'm curious whether or not they'll change that, but you know, definitely kind of interesting.
And when those timing windows come up, it's so strange, but there you go, Jace straight right out in front, wants to focus down the Orianna, but meanwhile, Jarvan will actually go ahead and get quite a bit of damage onto Zyra, but Goats will also go down as well.
But Jace, he's got to get out of there. 760 chasing him down. He's going to be able to turn it back around because he knows he has Sona and Ezreal for the support. We'll see if he catches win. Oh, no. Just barely not grabbing Orianna. He threw off the blind combo. It was actually, it went right by her, just whizzing past her face.
It was a worthwhile effort. It was a worthwhile shot. It's like, you know, just very, very little effort, little mana expended. Little man expended to go ahead for that attempt to try and get a kill, try and get something. LOL Pro is trying to make something happen here, though. Imbasheep is trying to retreat. Nice hammer back, but still, though, the pursuit. And use the Valkyrie, actually, to pursuit over to try and close the gap, so we'll not be able to use it to get over the forest wall into the river and continue pursuit. So Imbasheep will escape off of that one.
Yeah, so forcing the flash, that is a nice job, though. But we'll see. It is a 5K gold advantage, actually almost 6K for Megashock right now. And Acer, we have seen how strong they have been in the past, but it just goes to show what kind of a team Megashock is. They're looking very impressive. We'll see, if they can keep it up. They have a very safe team, and that's the big thing. Is it's going to be very difficult for Acer to hit their combos because of Ezreal's kiting potential, because the movement speed that Sona gives the team, and everything that they have. But I don't know, if they can hit it, the frontline burst is definitely there. And then actually in the longer team fights, if they can keep Orianna and Corki alive, then their kind of kiting poking potential is very strong as well. Orianna definitely usually wins those long team fights, or you expect to at least.
You do have Steve with that Oracle's looking to go ahead and clear anything that may be. And Oracle's a fantastic item to have when you're in a dominant position like this. You reduce the vision of the enemy team, and you can just go ahead and go wherever you please. Also noticing right now here that Sully and Warhunter here, recognizing how vital the Jarvan-Orianna combo is in order to grab those kills, in order to still be relevant in this game. You see them actually sticking relatively close together. They're not ever too far apart now at this point in the game. They're always within arm's reach, but now you have a full 5 here from both teams actually congregating on the mid. But with that Oracles, that will be a lot of reduced vision here for Acer. Those wards will not be doing a whole hell of a lot, but it'll still give them a little bit of data, a little bit of something about what Megashock is doing. But Dragon is back up. Megashock, they have congregated up here. They're going to try and take it out, but you do have Jarvan, you do have Sully right there on the outskirts, waiting to see who's going to initiate first.
Yeah, incredible vision from Megashock right now. They know they're very safe. They will back off. They want to let that Dragon reset, but actually Goad's coming back in on it. It is very low. He will pick that up, but Jarvan with the ultimate in, the Orianna follow-up, and Megashock, they're able to pick up Kaltard, and that is absolutely huge. Lee Sin does go down. The Nunu ultimate was able to split them away here, but Megashock, they're actually going to be chasing down the rest of Acer, and there's the kill for Imbasheep, and he is perfectly fine at this point. At Nyx as well, able to grab the kill there. And so even though they hit a really nice combo, they're able to pick up the kill on Kaltard, they couldn't finish up on the rest of them. And then the rest of Megashock was able to kite around and be very safe in that fight and just slowly wear them down.
Dragon plus Ace.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of, that's 3.5 dragons.
Yeah, no,
it's quite a bit of money.
How many Teemos is that, though? Because didn't we talk about in the past that we need to have Teemo as the standard unit of measure?
That's
no, wait,
right.
that's for size.
That's for size. That's for size.
That's right. That's for size.
Yeah. So,
kind of like hands with horses.
Yeah.
When you're describing, oh, that's a fine stallion there. Comes from good breeding stock. It's a good 16 and a half hands. So we'll talk about Jason. We'll be like, that's a good, 3.5 Teemos.
The hammer itself worth 2. It's not too bad. It's not too bad looking. But with that though, Megashock has just extended their lead to ridiculous proportions. 10K lead here at 25 minutes in. And the game is pretty much theirs for the taking. You do see everyone starting to itemize up here. Death Cap on Kaltard with the blue elixir, so that's quite a bit of AP. You got the Trinity Force done on onto Jace. You got the Nocturne with the Frozen Mallet. So we were talking a little bit too about Goat suiciding on into these fights.
Yeah.
He's going to be significantly more tanky. Also has that Chain Vest, looking to go into the Atmas, the Fatmas combo as they call it. But the game may actually end before he even gets it.
Yeah, and he is going to be almost unkillable for their team because they have a lot of physical damage. They have a nice mix of magic as well as the true damage from Corki. However, it means that they have to sit there and focus down Goats, and that's clearly not going to be a good situation for them. But you saw in the previous fight, even if they can take down Zyra, which is what Acer needs to be able to do, they're so far behind, they can't clean up the rest of the team. So it was a decent fight for Acer, but Megashock is just so strong right now. So right now, Acer, they need to sit back and just allow this game to stall out a little bit. And they can slow it down some. They have the AoE clearing to do it, as long as they can keep Corki farm. So you saw he split pushed bottom a little bit, got some momentum on that wave. And that's definitely what you need to do. The flash out from Super Rays just barely backing out of there. But by split pushing lanes, you can slow down pushes. You can, Megashock has to kind of run around the map and just constantly clear out minions, and that opens up an opportunity for Acer to continue farming.
Yep. But granted, that last fight though, Dragon, you can drag the Dragon out into the river. You can have a little bit more time to maneuver around. If Megashock does Baron, and if Acer decides to engage on it, an AoE team with with that much damage in such close quarters, such as the Baron pit, can actually be significantly more effective than in a more open space like a river, like where that last Dragon fight was.
Yeah, and the big thing is getting vision. So we've seen so far in this game, Megashock has phenomenal vision the entire game. That last fight, they had wards all up and down the river. They had the seedlings from Zyra as well. So they had a complete understanding of where Acer was coming from. They were able to control the fights in that way. You see right now, they have wards all around Baron. So they have really nice Baron control. Just that they know if they start a fight, then they're going to have really great vision of Acer. So the big thing for Acer is they need to get an Oracles on someone. The only issue is they're so far behind. It's tough for them to itemize into that. So
yeah.
Steve getting the Oracles for Megashock, it's kind of more difficult for Acer to do the same. So they're going to come into the fights with a vision disadvantage.
Yeah, even you look at the gold totals right now, and you know, there's not a whole lot of money, available to really anybody. So it's just a matter of actually getting that 400 gold, going back in the Oracles, and coming on back to actually go ahead and clear that pit, and hope and pray that Megashock, in all of that time spent, actually just doesn't go straight on in and just swoop it up.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how they can control this. The big thing is keeping up the push, and they are concerned about Megashock swooping it up. But if they just keep all the lanes pushed, then it'll give them vision of Megashock. And it seems like Megashock's actually going to go for it. There is the ward there, so they are going to be spotted. But they can start to clear out these wards. They can start to try and force them into fights, and then have Zyra poke them down over the side.
Jarvan's standing right there in the brush. Does give a little bit of vision, but Nocturne ult coming in, going the long way. Is actually split up with the rest of the team, but a new ult going to be going on down. Orion ult getting 4 members of Megashock. The slam to dunk coming in from Jarvan, trying to get what he can, but Lopro's going to be going down. Super Race is going down, and Imbasheep looking to be a boss, trying to clean up. You do have the double kill there onto Reborn, but it's just a matter of what else can he do. Imbasheep going to get slowed by Orianna, but has to force the flash over the wall. So that was a 2 for 2. Actually, really not too bad for Acer.
Yeah, that was about as good as it gets for Acer, and still Megashock is able to come out on head.
Yeah.
Imbasheep actually chasing down Sully along with Ezreal, just
nice.
barely getting out of there. The Lee Sin shield will keep him alive. This is actually stalling away from this tower here. Nocturne is still taking it down by himself, but we'll see if they finish it. Yes, they do finish it, but they might not be able to get the inhibitor. Yes, they do actually have to back off. And the big thing with that last fight, Kaltard, even though he went down almost immediately, he got off his ultimate, and that's what turned it around for Megashock. If Zyra hadn't gotten down that ultimate, then Acer would have won that fight. So that was absolutely crucial. But you saw in the beginning of that fight, they tried to force the engage with Goats because Megashock is like, dang, we are really strong. Let's force a fight. Let's, win this game. And Nocturne, he does have really strong initiation. You can force a fight. However, the Nunu separation, Nunu just, threw out down his ultimate. He was able to completely stop that engage from Megashock, and they were all clumped up now. So it opened up an opportunity for Orianna and Jarvan to turn around on them and get those perfect combos. But it started off with the Nunu ultimate being able to slow down Megashock, and so they all hit that wall. They basically just clumped up as a result of that slow, and so they were almost able to grab it. But the Zyra ultimate just absolutely turning it around for them. Just destroyed Acer.
But you have that Oracles though still onto Sona. But now look, you got Nunu, you got Super A's, now that Oracle. So now Acer can go ahead and try and regain some of the vision they've lost. But Kaltard though, right now Megashock, they're still in a dominant position, can still force out objectives like the Dragon, can still press the mid. And remember, there's no mid tier 3 anymore. They're able to go ahead and get that with the last push. The inhibitor is still up. There's still unfinished business to be made. Nocturne ult is up in 5 seconds. And then once that thing's up, they can go ahead and try and muscle this inhib out. Orianna Orb out in front. That's a warning sign. Don't cross that line. Goat's actually getting chunked out pretty well here by Warrior Hunter. But we'll actually bring the orb back, shield onto Jarvan, preparing for that engage. Wants to prepare the ult, wants to get everybody in line. But with this, though, Megashock can just go ahead, wait for the waves, and continue the push.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of difficult for Acer to defend this, and I'm a little bit surprised that Megashock's going back. They're actually going to try and force a fight by Baron. The big thing is if Megashock can continue that push, they have the poking potential, and they can split up. They don't have to clump up and do an AoE, so it would make it difficult for Acer to go for this. But they walked past a ward, and they didn't clear it out, and they are going right in on this Baron. It's going to be dropping very quickly, but it does open up an opportunity for Acer.
3,000 health, 2,000 health. It's going to go down before Acer ever gets there. And there you go, Nocturne going to go ahead and finish that job, ulting on in. Jarvan, can he get what he needs? He does get the kill down on a Nocturne, but for what cost, though, triple kill coming in before he dies. And Zyra ult going to be doing quite a bit as well. Guardian Angel on Imbasheep will actually bring him back up, and in combination with the Ezreal could get quite a bit. Huge damage down onto the Orianna while still retreating. But granted, Acer got the better of that fight.
Oh, but Etnix has it.
Never mind. So yeah, now with that Megashock, they've evened it up. They still have the Baron buff, and they could actually still pursue Wall Pro and Super A's. They should be able to take out the inhib, no problem. There's nothing that Nunu and Corki can do to contest this, especially when you have that Jace out in front, dealing all that damage.
Yeah, they're going to take that very easily. Jace is very strong at pushing both turrets and inhibitors, but that fight was almost perfect for Acer. It was a really nice job. If you can actually go back to it, it was a while back, but the big thing was they forced that combo as Megashock was all grouped up. And then immediately after they did that, you saw Steve blow the early ultimate to try and get them alive. But the quick burst, they're able to pick up all those kills, and then once Zyra throws off the ultimate, Acer all runs. And so they're not getting any damage onto Jace. Jace is just so strong on the front line. The Nunu ultimate does slow him down, so they're safe. But the big thing was, after the Jarvan-Orianna combo, Acer just booked it. And they knew, all right, we're losing these fights after we get off our combo. We're getting off the combo, and then we're dying in the later team fights just because of the turnaround that Ezreal has. So let's just get the kills. Let's get the hell out of there. And that's what they did at first. Unfortunately, Megashock was able to pursue and pick up another kill there. But even so, it almost worked out for them. It was a really nice play. We'll see how they can turn this around. Ezreal getting the Guardian Angel, though. He's going to be extremely aggressive. He is so far ahead of Corki. And Corki's actually building that GA as well. However, Corki is over a full item behind. Like, it's absurd. So that's actually going to reduce his damage output by a significant margin. Corki just doesn't have the item, the gold income to sustain that GA build.
Plus, also, and also Jace's is actually his GA effect proc will actually be up in 3 minutes as well. But again, just the position, the advantage that that Megashock is getting while we're waiting for that to come up is still going to be huge. They got the inhib. They can still continue to press towers with the Baron buff. And granted, it's still going to be, it's only on so many members, but it's on the member that it counts for. Yeah,
and I think the big thing is Corki is just scared because the Zyra ultimate is just crushing him every single time, and Jace is able to get into that backline and abuse him. But they are going to try and force this. Zyra is way out of there, but the Shurellias, along with Sona, they're able to retreat very easily, and that's that great kiting potential. So, it will help Corki some in those team fights, but it's just going to be tough. I don't know that he has enough damage output that he can, go for those defensive items right away.
Baron buff still got about 30 seconds left on the thing. Now Cowtard has joined the rest of the team. Now the Zyra ult is back in effect here, saying they can go ahead and just chunk out the top tier 2. And Megashock continues the push. Warhunter getting caught out. Sona ult coming on in. Imbasheep gonna be grabbing the Orianna kill very quickly. Jarvan's going down as well, and you know what? That's the combo. That's the combo Acer needs to turn his fights around, and it is now gone. So Megashock can just go ahead and ravage the enemy base. They got a good 45 seconds to do so. That is plenty of time.
Yeah, and mid is pushing. Zyra's very capable at pushing Jace as well, so they have a really strong pushing team. They're going to be able to drop this tower very easily. There's not a lot that Acer can do. It drops in seconds, so an inhibitor is going to go down. We'll see. It's going to be very close. I don't know that they're going to have enough to take the Nexus, but they could just stall right here and just continue to push in on Acer.
You still got 20 seconds until Jarvan and Orianna come back up. There's a huge minion wave pushing here in the mid, but I think Megashock may actually have just enough damage here. You got the Nunu ult coming on in, trying to dissuade everyone. Does actually flash out of it, but all the damage here focusing down on the Nexus is going to be more than enough. Jarvan and Orianna will not be coming back, and that is going to be it. Game 1 going to be going to Megashock. Good job, guys.
Yeah, really impressive play, and they had control over the entire game. Jace has been a really cool pick. I'm excited to see more and more of Jace. Check out Soaz, playing it more, but Megashock definitely doing a nice job there. Imbasheep, with some really impressive play, and 224 CS. He was farming very effectively, but 8-1 and 12 was the big story there.
Yeah.
And Jace is just it's such a strong champion, when played in that effective manner. So it is very cool to see, the mobility that he gives the team when paired with like a Sona. You have the Jace mobility along with the Sona mobility. You can pick up those kills very easily as that bruiser form, but then also have that pick-off potential in the range.
Yep. I think, looking back, though, because I mentioned it before, as Lee Sin was, still going around defending objectives, defending towers, how I felt, far behind he was in terms of, experience and goal. It was a constant thing throughout most of the game.
I mean, they were just really far behind at that point. And at the point where Lee Sin was that far, was 2 or 3 levels behind Nocturne, it was just because Nocturne had a bunch of kills. That's all there was to it. So, I don't know. We'll see how Acer can come back into game number 2. The big thing is Megashock just handed it to them. They had
Yeah.
played a really impressive game. They knew exactly what they were doing coming in. The early advantage over Jarvan was
Yep,
huge.
that killed that double buff.
You know, Jarvan, he could get some early pressure, but that's just brutal. Like, Jace got off to such an easy start, and Zyra is a very strong pick as well. Even after the nerfs, we see, you know, how strong Zyra is. So we'll see how they can kind of turn this around. You know, what Acer can do if they, you know, can maybe pick up one of those Morgana or Shen, but I'm going to assume that Megashock's going to go with like the same bands. So
Yeah.
we'll see what Acer can do. I don't think that they want to allow them to have Nocturne, because I think, like, even the rest of the team they had more issues with. Like, Ezreal was abusive in the bottom lane. The Ezreal Sona combo is very common. Jace did very well in the top lane, but Nocturne, he had the jungling presence, he had the initiation and whatnot. That you know, it puts a lot of pressure on your team, so they're not able to adjust for those lanes.
Yep. So hey, we'll see the game plan adjustments coming on in to game number 2. We'll be back in just a little bit. IPL5 qualifiers. We're on the 3rd cycle. NA and EU starting today. We got to find out. We got to get those first rounds out. We got to get those first rounds done. Game 2. Acer, Poland, and Megashock going to be coming up in just a little bit. See you soon.